I would like to say hello to everyone, and also it's my pleasure to say welcome to all our attendees to our first BlueCallom webinar after a longer summer break. We are starting this fall online webinar with an interesting topic. It's rapid innovation development with generative AI. I believe this topic is quite interesting to our audience, but I don't want to reveal too much because today we have two great speakers with us who are going to tell us more about the importance of AI tool and its role in this innovation space. For those who don't know me yet, I am Tanya, and before we officially begin with this session, and I give over to the presenters to tell us more about this topic, let me just go through some housekeeping items. As you may know by now, we are always recording our webinars, and you're always welcome to access it later via our website in the event archive. Second, you're always welcome to ask questions, write your comments and inputs. There is a little chat box in the down right corner, so please use it. We are keen to know your opinion. And lastly, I would also like to tell you that if you have any technical issues or something is not working properly, you're always welcome to reach out to me, and I will do my best to help. Now it's time to introduce our speakers. One of them is very familiar to our audience. His name is Axel Schulte. Axel is the CEO of BlueCallom, and he's also the chairman of the World Innovations Forum. He founded two highly innovative multi-billion-dollar companies, and he also founded the first digital stock exchange in 1997. Axel initially helped young startups develop innovative businesses with the World Innovations Forum. And 3 years ago, he founded BlueCallom and he created an innovation framework and AI-driven management software, which empowers business leaders to transform their companies into innovative organizations. Welcome, Axel. Our second speaker is Christian W. Hello, Christian. Thank you for being with us today. Christian joined BlueCallom team this year, and his role is to lead BlueCallom's product directions and strategy. Christian was Director of Innovation at Johnson & Johnson for many years. And in his career, he gained experience in innovation management, risk management, business development, as well as in project management. Christian is also CEO of a biotechnology company, T Oncology. So yes, as you can see, our speakers have a wide experience, and I'm sure they can tell us more about this topic today. I will give this stage over to them now. Welcome, Axel. Welcome, Christian. And yes, please tell us more about this innovation with AI tool. Is it possible to be faster or not? What's the thing with it? Thank you.
All right. Okay, maybe I'll start real quick with an introduction of the company, what BlueCallom actually does and who we are, for those who are not quite familiar with us. And also from my side, really warm welcome, because we have, I think, from almost 10 European countries and even from Asia, we have somebody here. So that's a very amazing situation for us. So BlueCallom is the first AI native enterprise innovation development software. So AI native means that everything we do is AI. It's not like what is actually a standard today is you have some sort of application and then use some AI mechanism through an API and then go back. In our case, everything, and AI native means from the user input all the way back to the user output, everything is AI. We're focusing on breakthrough innovation and transformation. And the second one, transformation, has been kind of sneaking in, because simply understanding that transformation intellectually is actually the same job like innovation. Now, this has to do with neuroscience a little bit, which we will talk later. But the outcome of 300% efficiency gain, sort of at least, is probably the most interesting one. Oops, that was too fast. Tanya, can you go back one more time? Thank you. I think we don't need to talk much about our backgrounds. Tanya did a very good job. Our first customers were Roche, Vietnam Airlines, and First Alpine, and today we're working with about 22 companies of that caliber to go on. And the USP of us is Neuro AI fusion. That's a technology that we developed, and the fusion of AI and neuroscience made a huge change. And with that, I'll give it to Christian, talking about sort of the starting point of our presentation today.
Thank you, Axel. And talking about customer, really also a quick hello, and thank you for your interest in BlueCallom and our webinar on rapid innovation development. When you see on the next slide, the rapid innovation development is something which is super essential going forward. You can see on the slide that in the past, we had been accepting, as we had to accept, return of investments of 10 years and more. And that is one of the reasons why innovation has a fading reputation of really delivering on the expectations. And when we were talking in companies I've been working in the past about exponential acceleration, we talked about carving a couple of months out of the timeline. And with that, of course, we couldn't deliver on the promise. The same is true on how we wanted to find the talent and shape the talent who is able to deliver on the innovation promise. So Axel, you're talking here about that really rapid is now a different rapid from what I was seeing in the industry before. So how would you see that?
Yeah, exactly. So, and you'll probably remember some of the conversations we had while you're still with Johnson & Johnson. Rapid is really rapid. And so when we talk about the numbers, I want to caution you, it sounds like, come on, this is marketing BS, but it's not. So when we look at like these large scale innovations, the concepts, and we have actually 6 on our website. In total, we developed 12 of those large scale innovation concepts. Tanya, something is, I think, going wrong in the background. Anyways, that these concepts have been developed rapidly within basically days. Now, this, as I said, this sounds maybe crazy, but that's the fact of life. It was done in a very short order. And Tanya, can you move forward the slide, please? And the rapid came in actually and exclusively through AI. That made a difference that I have to be honest. I mean, I'm known as a visionary, but I couldn't actually believe myself how fast we can go with the support of AI. So for instance, 90% of the administration work gets delegated to an AI system. Now, that means that the innovation teams don't have to worry about the report generation. I mean, this was one of the big jobs, is when building presentations, the data for the presentations and so on. This can be done by an AI. The AI can do all our work on timeline and so forth. The same as we collapsing research time to 2 to 5% of the original time. So that means between 95 and 98% of research time just fades away. And I mean, most of you probably have used ChatGPT, and you use it probably already sort of a little bit for research. But when you do research in an innovation environment, you have a lot of parameters, so to speak, in the background. The research should be in context of your company, in context of your market, in context of your target audience, in context of where you are, in context of what you want to achieve, in the context of the strategic direction of your innovation, and so forth. And we developed software on top of the AI that we're using, which is OpenAI's GPT, to make that research stunningly precise. And it comes back when you put all this data together, which you don't physically need to as an innovation team member. This is one person in the company needs to make a setup in the beginning. Then the response comes into within probably 30 seconds. So what you did for a day or two or three for one question comes back in 30 seconds. Now you would say, well, 30 seconds. Well, my GPT comes back in 10 seconds or 5 seconds. Well, that's true. But the data that we provide around, so we frame basically that prompt that you're using comes back a little bit later. So we're reducing time for decision-making processes. And this has to do a little bit with company culture. In some companies, the decision-making process is very much driven by ego, by power, by all these kind of things. Now, what we're doing is we're taking your decision, running it through the AI system, coming back with suggestions how you may even polish the decision and augment it in addition with your data, with what it finds basically in the context of your business environment. So decision-making process collapses to 50% and more. Significant amplification on human ingenuity. I mean, your creativity is basically a combination of how your brain works and how much experience you have in your life. I mean, not just experience on the business side. And this combined develops your ingenuity and your creativity. And if we can augment that and amplify it, then there is another huge benefit from AI. And this is what you basically argued rightfully, 10 years ROI, because we need to do all the things that we need to do, is unacceptable. But you now also realize when we collapse the time to innovation by, a factor of 300, which we actually can do, we can at least collapse the ROI by a factor of 3, which is nothing compared to everything else. And the reason is there is still one other factor that we need to consider, and this is the market itself. A customer is not as fast as an AI system, but when we develop a product and we develop a solution that is so much faster in the market, then we can do also the marketing faster, we can do the sales part a little bit faster, we can address more people and so on. And this is why we can at least cut it down to 3 years, not even, maybe even more.
Wow, super impressive. I understand what rapid means now when you talk about rapid. and hopefully, I mean, you're mentioning sales, marketing. I think one piece is then, of course, bureaucracy and regulatory environments who would need some AI implementation as well to really support that lightning speed. But like on the next slide then, Tanya, it's not only about speed. I mean, you have to target and you have to hit the customer expectations. Actually, if you would know what the customer wants, it would be simple. In many cases, you would actually like to surprise them. You want to think ahead of what the customer is actually expecting from you today. That means you have to be able to create new markets. I'm not sure if this is already covered also in the framework you're talking about, because fast is great, but also defending your current market share, I mean, you have to have the focus on that piece. And we have new requirements coming up every day. I mean, sustainability being one, cost efficiency in an inflationary environment another. So how is it possible to bring with the speed all that content framework also into the product and to the results we want to deliver?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, indeed, time is not everything. It's actually like we see on the next slide, it's actually the way we ask questions to the GPT system, to the AI system. And there is a new key to it, and we call this prompt framing. Now, imagine you have, like we had, an innovation development system, and I'm saying innovation development because we're not managing innovation. That's probably, even the term would be misleading, because in the development, there's so much going on. There is little to manage, even in the past, but almost nothing to manage today. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that the question that you ask a GPT system, doesn't matter which one, that this question is A, very precise, and B, brings all the environmental data, so to speak, with it so that the system can make meaningful responses. And the funny thing is, you know, I mean, there is this old saying, you know, what you put in, you can't get something out if you don't put something in.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly, and this has not changed at all. And so when you talk to people, I mean, not machines, when you talk to people, all too often people say, okay, yeah, sorry, you lost me. What is it what you actually want from me? I mean, this happened probably 1 to 2 times every single day in your life. And so it's even harder for a system that has a gazillion of data that we don't have as humans, and now should come up with some response. It would be even harder. And therefore we frame a prompt. So like if you want to say, well, I'm really interested in the market's problem of our customers, give me some information. Well, then the system would need, who are your customers? What is your market? What is your company doing? In what context? Is it a product? Is it a service? What do we actually really want? Now, this question would, the response would be so often in the company that we said, and based on our experience, that this would come with every single question. So why not putting all the data that are known about your company and your market and your target audience and your current situation, where you are in that innovation, right into the context of your question. So you don't have to become what's known as a prompt framing engineer, because you have basically maybe some 2, 3, 4, or maybe 1 per department who can do this in the first place. And then the users, they don't need to learn prompt framing or prompt engineering. They basically do their prompts, but now in the context of your company. And that means the generative AI system that generates basically content out of this vast information would have an additional input that is very specifically to your company and even to your task within the innovation stream that you're doing. And that makes finally all the difference. And this is something that is very different for every company. You may have put Mercedes next to BMW, fighting like hell on the same market, the same audience, the same everything. But still, the company philosophy might be different, the strategy might be different, and so on. And so also in the future, the output of even disruptive innovation from 2 companies would be 100% different using our system, even though it's like a computer, it's logical, it's digital, zeros and ones. No. It's very different because your people are different, your philosophy is different, your strategy is different, and so forth. Yeah. So that's the key to prompt framing.
No, and it shows me also, I think, that you don't have to be a digital native to start working with that. Because when we talked about the talent equation in companies, a company has the people they have today. So there's a lot of support coming from that end. But on the next slide, we are going to talk a little bit about how human intelligent augmentation can look like. And on the next slide, Tanya, I would like to share with you something where BlueCallom is ushering into a new era. Human intelligence augmentation is nothing new. Today you hear a lot about it. It becomes a buzzword, but actually the term was already coined by Douglas Engelbart in 1961. It was when the first computers were becoming visible, and he had a futuristic view on things, how these computers could support humans, doing more, doing better, being more creative. But the technology till today was not anywhere close to that. It really took the advancements in technology and the understanding to stimulate the brain to really walk down the path and talk about human intelligence augmentation. And I think specific to BlueCallom, what is differentiating us is the capability and the vision where we started from, having Neuro AI fusion as a breakthrough technology. And when you look at the entire process, the entire tool we are providing to you, you can see that with 100+ tasks we have defined in a very diligent process, word by word was nearly wordsmithed in a process. And I know Matthias and Axel spent hours and days on that process to make it an innovation journey that is really capable of delivering the tasks and answers the questions you have. And Axel, maybe would you say it's a fair statement at this moment that everything you can imagine together with BlueCallom, you are able to build it?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a bold statement to say yes, but it really is. I mean, we tried it out multiple times in various constellations, and I have to say, even BlueCallom as it is today would probably not be happening if we wouldn't use our own methodology. And there's a new thing coming out that we will have probably in the market next year that is actually also built on BlueCallom for BlueCallom. So yes, it's really, the imagination is really the limit, so to speak.
Amazing. So how does that then look like in the framing process? I think there's more framing, prompting necessary to get to that level, Tanya.
Yeah, that's right. So initially, prompt framing was developed to help people basically you use the AI system better. So we said at one point, we cannot make every human, so to say, speak AI or craft these prompts. We can't all be prompt engineers. However, we can make actually the AI understand everything that people say if you put it in the right context. Now, this was about making prompts better. And if you go in the internet, you will find probably already 50,000 people who are working on prompts and sharing them and so on. But they're all individual prompts for one situation. Help me write a book, give me the text here, the bullets for writing a press release and so on. And they're good and they're super valuable. But also in these cases, if it needs to understand the context of the company and the job and everything that you're doing, then you have to add a lot to it every single time. And if you have 10,000 employees, that where 5,000 probably will sooner or later use AI to improve their job, you would have to train 5,000 people in prompting and make them indeed prompt engineers. So that would be not necessary. However, there is something very deep and very different to prompting that we also, have to be honest with you, discovered while we did that job. And this is the connection between man or mind and machine. The prompt is the connection between you and your brain, and your AI system. So when we look into an AI system that works rather similar to the human brain, I mean, it's a philosophical debate. How much is rather similar? It's definitely not the same, and our brain is probably the comparable intelligence part of the brain that an AI brings. And we will see probably next year the first versions of AGI, artificial general intelligence. This is where people say this is more powerful than our brain. Yes, we will see that. Absolutely. Do we fear it? Not at all. Have we feared that jet engines can fly faster than we can fly? I mean, making any kind of attempt to fly. Well, we can't fly at all. And now these things are not only faster than anything that lives on Earth. Do we like it? Yeah, absolutely. Will we use AI to things that we can't do? Absolutely, we will. And this AI will supersede our capabilities by 100 million times, possibly. But that doesn't mean that it will supersede us as a human being. We have consciousness, which an AI doesn't have. To program consciousness, I mean, I have to tell you, we're working on some crazy projects, and one is consciousness, but this will probably take years. And the reason why it takes probably decades, because we don't even know fully what consciousness is. So coming back to the connection between the brain and the machine, what we do with prompt framing is actually the neuro AI fusion. And this is what Christian said earlier. I mean, it actually took months to craft the questions in a neuroscience context that we ask, or the system asks you, or when you work with a system, a question that is so precise and even provides sort of a default prompt so that you know what should be the prompt, and comes back with a very precise answer. And this connection, the more precise and the more context, is actually why the system can provide powerful, I mean, literally powerful answers. And when you just put in something in ChatGPT, you get a good answer. I mean, no questions, but it's not in the context of your task, your work, your future, and everything else. And so the neural AI fusion, to a large degree, is on that prompting machine. And now here's one thing I want to say, and then keep on, otherwise we're killing our timeline. The key to your brain is the spoken word. I mean, we can reach your brain with technology through text. And I can give you an example. If I ask you now, and please do that experiment, you don't have to answer it, so please keep it for yourself. But if I ask you now, please think of a situation in the last 5 years that you had real trouble in your business, that was painful, you hated it, and think of this situation, just real quick, even though we're under time pressure. And I'll leave you think. What was it? What was so cumbersome in the last 5 years? The most cumbersome, or one of the cumbersome situations? So I believe all of you found one. And now what happened will surprise you. I ask you through speech about a thought and a situation in your brain that is possibly the most private situation that you never shared with somebody else, but I brought it up. In this case, for you. I could also, as a psychologist, ask you, okay, now tell me. So which means my speech, or my ask, or my question goes directly into your brain, and you can't even prevent it. Now, there's a dark side to it. And so we will learn through AI more about brainwash than we learned ever before. And I learn almost every day something new in this space. Because of the text that we provide, we will stimulate your brain. And if we craft that in a way that we go deeper and deeper and deeper, and the brain works in certain ways that we can go fast and deep into your memories and into your construction of building new thoughts out of past experiences, that's where we address your brain. That's how we stimulate it. And this is when we work in a team and share the thoughts. Then these new thoughts augment your existing thoughts. And this is how, I mean, truly amazing results come. Now, this would be possible without a system. And if you have a very specialized psychologist who prepares these questions and gets all the data out of you. The problem was, and this is why we actually started BlueCallom, you will most likely, with a team of 10, come up with 1,000+ ideas, or idea snippets, as we call it, from all kinds of stages in the innovation process. Now, that data to analyze and to actually validate is a nightmare. And so we basically said, okay, our method is cool, but we cannot use it without the technology. And so prompt framing has two things. One, it makes prompts much easier. That's a cool thing. But the neural AI fusion, this is basically our true differentiator market, is the AI part, the neural part of the question is part of what we're doing. And so the interesting thing for you also is that we don't need basically any kind of industry knowledge. We need the knowledge of the brain. We need to understand how the brain works, when and where, to what kind of question to reach your conscious mind and your experiences. And there's a lot to say about how this works. We will do this in a separate training when everybody who is using BlueCallom gets trained on that. And you will realize that your brain can actually do way more than you think. Yeah. So the bridge between machine and mind is probably even more important on prompt framing than making prompts easier.
Amazing. And I mean, everybody on the call can feel the energy of Axel. And it's one of the reasons why I joined BlueCallom, because when we had the discussions about what is the new developments, or what are the new developments opening up for humanity, what are the questions we have to ask ourselves to move forward, it was really that moment when I said, yes, the people with the right mindset, with the right energy, have to get behind that and work on these questions which are most relevant to us. And I think one of these outcomes was that we had concept studies, which you can see on the next slide. And one of the questions was, as an outcome, we saw the petawatt geothermal energy solution. But the question was, what would happen if energy would be abundant and if energy wouldn't cause any CO2 emissions? I mean, these are challenging questions. Everybody can ask him or herself, and I think everybody is looking to find solutions for that. And then going through our entire process, taking all of our knowledge inside, we designed concepts that find solutions, that look now for technical execution, that can go down that path to deliver that. The same, I mean, post-COVID, we were seeing the challenges in supply chain, the cost of logistics, the preciseness and the backlog in logistics. How could an autonomous logistics system look like where not robots manage containers, but containers manage themselves and the content within? And the other big digital approach was in the finance system. I mean, how would an intelligent finance technology bank look like with no counters, no consulting, just a huge marketplace with performance and superior data? And all these questions we asked ourselves, went through the process and came up with these concept studies showing how the AI support, the neuro ideation are working and coming up to solutions that can be executionable. And I think this is just framing the power which is in BlueCallom AI. And Axel, and I see questions coming here up in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just do a quick summary on where you see the timelines, how things are coming together. And then I suggest to have a quick Q&A before we then go a little bit deeper on the product itself.
Yeah, makes sense. I think if we go to the next slide, then is that?
Yeah.
So, and we will definitely answer your questions, both Paul and Luca. So the AI fusion effect is in a way, what we said in the very beginning is this enormous time collapse. Now think of your brain as something that needs to review things, research things, ask questions, try to get feedback, then brings it all together, sums it up, and so on. And these are all individual tasks. So let's start with research. We looked at how much research we had spent in our initial version we hadn't have AI, because the AI that existed when we started the first prototype was simply not good enough. So we started with GPT-2 and tried to take the content and run it through GPT-2, and it just failed. And the biggest reason was, when we were thinking about very advanced steps in the future, we always focus on disruptive innovation. Well, the system didn't come up with anything meaningful. But that has changed with GPT 3.5 and the invention of basically their own app on top of their GPT system. That was ChatGPT. Now, what took us about 3 months, and I have to say the 3 months was already, because of the way we structured the application, was already a huge gain compared to the past. But this did another collapse down to 5 days. So research in total 5 days, which mean if you have very clear questions, what you want to research, and all the context of the company and everything behind you, then it takes obviously a couple seconds to or maybe a minute or two to still frame the prompt, so to speak, for yourself, and then the rest of the system does the rest. And so 5 days is approximately the time that you still need over a course of a year or two. Then time to innovate collapsed from 2 years, which again was already, I mean, this was the time a good startup needed to get to an innovation that was recognized in the market. Now it's 2 months. Time to validate. All the things that we needed to validate underway took about 6 months, which is, again, very fast compared to what enterprises do. And the data on the left-hand side are basically from unicorn type companies. And we collapsed it to 2 weeks. And so without going into the details, this explains, I believe, graphically very impressive what the time collapse is. And the AI neural fusion effect is actually that we collapse the time from startup time, which was even faster than any corporate, again. And now this is democratization of time collapse, so to speak, because this is now available whether you're an enterprise, whether you are a unicorn, a startup, it doesn't really matter, because we're working all now with the same power of the brain. The disadvantage for the startups is a little bit that enterprises have more brains. I have to say that. The advantage of a startup is still that it will be faster, because enterprises have an overhead that still ruins the whole game. I mean, this I have to say that, because it wouldn't unfair to leave that out. So, but there are already, and we see this, super agile enterprises that understand that time is more valuable than anything else. And I always said, and I had in the beginning, a couple 10 years ago, difficulties with my board when I said, time is more important than perfection. It became a mantra of mine. I mean, this everything we do is under that theory. Now, living in Switzerland now, which was very different than California back in the days when I did my software companies, even more difficult, because time versus speed versus quality is an incomprehensible no-go. That time is a quality in itself, and so speed is a quality, and quality is not only the quality and the time length you need for a product.
Maybe
again,
let me add one thing here, Axel. When you talk about the value of time, just for the last time in this presentation, wearing a little bit my old hat, the corporate hat. Innovation very often has to do with patent, and patents expire. And you always have to keep in mind a product like in pharma turning around $1 billion and sometimes even $10 billion a year has a true value at the end of the patent when that revenue is happening. So losing a day at the early days means that at the end, every day is worth between $1 and $3 million. You are faster. And I mean, that's what people have to understand. Being perfect in the beginning, needing to change somewhere, and losing time and days and weeks and months in the process is just completely unacceptable, also from a commercial perspective. Besides, when you think about patients and necessary drugs to be delivered to help to meet the unmet needs of patients, you also have people dying while you are fiddling around doing your whatever nice to have processes and not being dedicated to the real outcome. So from the past, time is of the essence for the customer, the patients, and for the shareholders. And yes, sorry for chiming in here.
Oh, super. Yeah. Okay. So I think we can go to the Q&A.
I see there are questions coming in, Tanya.
Yes, I am back here, and as I can see, our chat box here, it's quite full. So I will just start reading the questions from the beginning.
I think, sorry, Tanya, I think we all can see it, and because this is public, right?
Correct.
So I mean, in order to save time, so Luca is the first question is a provoking question about consciousness, and yes, it is a provoking question, provocative question, and the consciousness story is so complex that I have probably a whole day for a lecture to talk about consciousness, and but to sum it up, it's a stage system, because we have the consciousness, the subconsciousness, we have all kinds of layers in consciousness, and our brain does this. It goes all the way down and back to our nucleus of the brain, where we're actually doing things in our subconscious mind that we're not even able to control, let alone understand how it works. So the work there would be enormous. And what is the final goal? That's a very good question. Everything humans do is in context of a even more complex thing, and it's called purpose. So purpose, when we ask 1,000 people, probably 900 would say, when I ask, what's your purpose? They would say, I have no idea. I mean, probably having fun, or working hard, or some getting a little bit more social or contribute to the society. Then yet others may form sort of a purpose for themselves. And I do that, and I did that, but also the purpose that I created for myself has changed with the age. New things came up, and so on. So to ask the question about consciousness is in context from purpose, but we all don't know how that functions. There's no center in our brain that has been discovered related to purpose. There's centers where we say, okay, when the question comes up, these neurons fire, but that still doesn't mean we understand purpose. There might be very different things, and I have a thesis for that, but even we have a thesis that this would not make an AI system for a very long time, sort of taking all over these functions. Now, our motor system, movement and everything is yet another one, and so on. So I believe when we have a purpose to find out the consciousness, or one part of the consciousness, and this purpose is hopefully a good one, and I wouldn't understand now what would be bad, but if we find a purpose, then I think there is a reason for development. That's sort of the thing. Puzzle individual versus group on the decision. That's a good one, Paul. And we're working actually on this. So one of the things is that it wouldn't be actually a decision which prompt, but the question is, how do we value one result of the prompts, including the frames, from one to the other? And that's actually a complex question that we're discussing with one very interesting, very smart machine, GPT. So because it can answer right now, more about its own functionality than most experts can. I don't know, Christian, do you see any question that you want to answer?
I think, Carol, I mean, Luca kind of reconfirming that with AI and the tools today, there is an increase in managing knowledge. Absolutely. I think we all will do that the more we get used to it and use the tools available. Thinking back in my old days when I had to go to a library with really physical books and go through the index to find chemical formulas. I mean, I don't know how we managed actually to make progress at the time. The same then with Carol. I think it's a very good element you're mentioning here, Carol, that innovators have a different way of thinking. You talk about here about natural innovators using images and patterns, not linear. But you also have to know to understand that to bring something to the market, you cannot only have innovators on the team. I mean, you need a diverse team. You need a complete set of skills. You have in an early stage of the process thinking about the impact it has on the long term, what we call lateral thinking. And that is what within a journey, which means an innovation project, the different episodes are reflecting on. So we really help the people to not forget anything, which will be relevant when it comes to bring it to the market, while all the capabilities of natural innovators, our neuro ideation process brings to the tablet, to the front, and let people connect on these. So it's really taking the best out of two worlds, bringing the creativity, the chaos to the front line, but understanding the impact it will have when you go into the execution on the long term. So doing it the first time and not losing time in the execution piece as well. And I don't know, the 4035 question on probably relating to ChatGPT, probably Axel, more data.
Yeah. I don't have any specific answer. I mean, this is the natural progression of any software, is that, you know, you have different versions and sometimes you can use the older versus the newer one. There are differences very clearly. You find them on their website, and that makes the decision. I mean, we do everything on 4.0, actually working on a 4.0 plus or whatever. They're beta versions, running a little bit ahead of the rest. So
maybe one last one I take from Stefano, asking really where's the proof in the pudding. Using our tool, we were looking into a sustainability challenge, and running through that challenge, we completely redesigned the underlying product, because sustainability was the urgent need the company wanted to address, but understanding and really taking the first principle approach, seeing what is out there in the market, and I will give a little bit more details afterwards on how the tasks and everything is structured. We came up with an approach where the product is not the product anymore. At the end, the product has the possibility to move into a service nearly instead of business to business product, it becomes a business direct to consumer product. And that had been done in less than 6 days. So the complete transformation and the different look at what the initial challenge put out was translated into something which is in the fast moving consumer goods space, an entirely different product. Of course, it is now about the scaling and finding the right technologies and building the marketing strategies around that product, the discussions you will have when it comes to cannibalization of existing products. But also there you will see the brave companies like Amazon who cannibalized their own books business. They cannibalized many times their own business by moving forward. And that's, of course, then also a challenge. And when we talk about innovation, very often we say you have to have alignment from the board, the CEO, the business unit, vice presidents have to be aligned, that once you have that solution space defined, that you can start execute. So, Axel, I think we try to open up more questions at the end and make sure we finish on time.
Yeah, just to add a couple more. I mean, our problem, and this is our biggest problem as a company, of course, that we cannot talk about the innovations that our customers do. We have, I mean, we listed some of the customers, and we had one situation, the steel company, where it was almost a dead end because in steel you cannot really invent new types of steel anymore. I'm not sure whether this is actually true, but this is at least the understanding. But we began to invent, so to speak, a complete new business model of a steel company, and that was a very interesting progress. And not only that, it seemed to be impossible, but it was actually done within a week. And so when you look into most companies, and this doesn't. This goes really across every type of company, whether it's a production, whether it's chemistry, whether it's steel, whether it's a digital company, whether it's an analog company. The process is just enormously fast. And also, we built a new product that we were talking a little bit about today that was actually created in about a week. And I have been running software companies before where the creation of a new product was, I mean, at least a month. I mean, we had our idea and then we put stuff together, but to put it all together so that we have a POD that the engineers could build, that was at least a month. And we can do this today, basically in a day. So there's a lot of examples, and the reason why we did the concept innovations is actually the same thing. I mean, they're all developed within days, basically. And this is only and exclusively attributing to the AI capacity of what we have now in our combination of how the brain works and how we can actually work with the data to come up with a concept. Okay, maybe we continue. There are another good stuff from Luca, more or less. I think, yeah, thank you for doing that. Paul, this is a good question. Let's answer this after the next piece, and then we see how we run in time, right? So we have still a little bit over half an hour.
Axel.
All yours. Oh no, this is me. Sorry. Yeah. So one of the things we did, and this is again also a product of BlueCallom, but it's also a product of our BlueCallom software that created this product, AI adoption. So we had companies saying, okay, guys, it's great. We really need disruptive innovation, but what we need first is this is simply because the boss on the very top wants it. We need AI in our company. It is very apparent that AI is changing the world, and we need to do that too. And so we sat down and said, okay, how could we help? And the initial thought was we tell them what we did in this case, as a startup, how we actually took an existing product that existed until actually for about 6 months, from mid of last year till the end of last year, and turned it completely upside down into a AI native product. And talking about this is one thing, but we realized when we did it, and as I said earlier, we used our own product. The transformation of AI in a company could be equally rapidly done with our product, because the brain doesn't know anything. I mean, your brain, my brain, all our brains, the cells in that brain doesn't know anything about transformation, innovation. They're knowing about emotions and chemistry and a little bit electricity, but that's it. But the complex of the brain actually does understand processes. And this is why we still exist because we were the weakest animal on the planet. We didn't have any kind of poison in us. We didn't have a horn that stitches other animals. We were as naked as we are, very, very vulnerable. But our intelligence was actually key to survive. So what we did is we took our technology and our system, and we were surprised ourselves how quickly this could be used for AI adoption. And we call this basically the AI Horizon Booster, because also here the questions changed a little bit, but not too much. The process the same. The whole mechanism and the methodology behind it is the same. But what we're trying to do, and this will probably be interesting for many of you, we're strategically identify AI opportunities through, again, stupid questions somebody has to answer. Say, yeah, we should have done this. Oh, yeah, okay, we need to do that too. Then we get eye success within weeks. And this is the time machine, so to speak. And we say no experimentation. Use technology and your intellect. And here's something philosophically interesting to understand. I mean, I was pounding on intelligence being the ability to recognize a problem, understand it, take all the bits and pieces, and intellectually think through it, iterate through it, pick one solution, and then do it. This is, at least what I learned, this is intelligence versus experimentation. I don't know. Let's try this. Oh, no, this doesn't work. Let's try that. Oh, maybe this sticks. No, it isn't. Try something else. This random experimentation may lead to a result, but it may not lead to a result. And this is what children do in very simple ways in the kindergarten. But as an adult, we should not follow the experimentation model. We should actually follow our intellect. And this is why I said technology and intellect. Technology is now there. You may want to play with AI a little bit to get inspired what it can do, but then your intellect to actually solve the question or answer the question, what can you in your organization do? And so you can leverage, probably most of you know already, in sales and marketing and HR, in administration. You can use it in your to get advantages and advancements in the logistics, in the production, in the product development, even in the question about sustainability, compliance, legal, and so forth. So AI will touch each and every department in your organization. And I cannot imagine when we did this game, is there anything that it wouldn't touch? It will. And so what our suggestion is, and this actually became our slogan, set it in motion. And you set it in motion by saying, okay, we want to think through all of these opportunities and variations. And if we get a guiding system that helps us think through it, because others did it already, then this is equally powerful to understand how AI works as it is for every other process, because you will learn that as I said earlier, your brain has certain processes. Your brain is the most energy consuming organ in your body. It will shut down if it is overheated. And the way it shut down is that you get very tired and you basically say, oh, I can't think anymore. Go. So no worries about this one. We don't inject anything in your brain. We don't feed you with any substances to get smarter. We use the most powerful API directly to your brain, and this is your ear, your eye, your nose, your senses, and this is how we will do it. Now, if we go before we go on, the concept innovations, and this is what some, at least I know it's about half of you know, that this is something expensive, because this is a 3 to 4 year process until you're successful in the market with one of these power things, which is, again, rapid, because typically it used to be 15 to 20 years and cost about $1 million just from our side. But what we're doing here is entirely different. And so don't worry about the pricing for a second, and I'll tell you later on anyway. So The system helps you think, whether it's innovation, transformation, AI adoption, which is kind of a transformation, it's all in the same way. And the advantage is once you get it, it's like Windows, once you get how Word works, and then you look up, okay, now I have Excel, you still find the print button, you find the save button, you find create a new file button, and so on. And so we use the same metaphor, so to speak. Okay, so then on the next slide.
So leading nicely to our AI Horizon Booster. And it's good to know, Axel, that unlike maybe other people known for their innovation capabilities by the name of Elon Musk, we can do it with technology, and we don't need pharmacy for that kind of things to expand our minds and capabilities. And that's exactly what the AI Horizon Booster is meant to do. We want to support you as customers to really address your specific needs. And the AI Horizon Booster in that respect is the first of 5 products we will bring to the market to really help you to overcome the initial hurdle to use our technology successfully. And how do we do that? You can see that on the next slide. We are looking for professional solutions. And what are the most immediate opportunities is something you have to identify. And we help you to do that in a few days. And how we do that is what you see on the site. This is internally, we call it our snake, but actually it's the flow of different episodes, how we go through the innovation journey. And the opportunity identification is the starting point. And from there, we go to the neuroideation to create a robust concept. So it's something you can do in a day or 2. And you don't have to worry that this is something you do all by yourself. I mean, we are really there to support you. I mean, also Luca, Carol, Paul, Stefano, everybody who was sending messages, feel free to reach out to us, because that's really why we are here, why we do these webinars, to help you understand what value you can get from the products we are creating and from BlueCallom AI as a total. And then on the 3rd episode, we go into the idea concept validation. Also a process fully guided. And for the ones who have not seen the tool before, I will share with you a couple of slides later how that looks like. Something you can do in a day or 2. And then you go into the solution building. There's some prompt framing around it to really have it specific to your need, and you can execute in a couple of days. And then, of course, I think that was one of the questions Luca was raising, if I'm correct, execution. How do you deploy? And that's something that, of course, takes more time depending on the maturity of the capabilities, technologies, but depending, we believe it can be done in days. And that brings them together, the AI Booster application. It's an AI native platform, no forms, no structure. We have rapid development with a 5-episode version, really fast, very focused. It is enterprise-grade architecture. That means the entire AI BlueCallom framework is working in the background for you. You just see the initial 5 episodes which are most relevant on that specific application, but you get the full product. And of course, and that's I show a little bit later, the KPI framework and how you manage multiple projects. So I have recognized some names who have been before, but for the ones who are new, Tanya, we want to share on the next slide a little bit, how does it look like? How does it feel? Once you have opened your journey, your innovation project, you will see different episodes. And this here is the episode of neuroideation. And people who work in larger companies are probably used to the post-it sessions, which you glue on the wall, where people are voting and all the kind of funneling in that process. You can do that entirely here on the platform. It's available for everybody in your company. It's company specific, so you're protected. And I think Axel will say a little bit more about that later on. And you will be guided. So you really start very focused with a problem analysis. Then you go into the next task, being the first principle thinking, really breaking down the problem to its core. And then you go through the analogous idea meeting. So you bring everything into the room which fits in that space. And that is guided through all the way when you get to the column burst, where you think about what is happening potentially 50 years from now with your idea. So really going wide, becoming bold, becoming ambitious. And that then is again translated to business models. And you see the way everything is built, it's also built how your brain is built. We have one element which is more left, and we have one element which is more the right brain. And that is all reflected here on that. And as you conclude the episode, you will have a proper team feedback, you assess everything, and we measure progress through the entire process. So running through the episodes, we collect up to 50,000 data points that will keep you on track and show to your senior management also how you're making progress. And there's just a small glance into that on the next slide. So the keeping track of progress. What you can see here on the upper right, it's the capabilities. That's when we talk about talent. We mentioned it a couple of times already. Talent is key to the process. We help you select the talent that brings the right capabilities to the table. We're not talking about skills you have learned in university or in your job experience. It's really about the capabilities you bring to the table as innovators, as a diverse, successful team. And then you can measure how people engage. You can measure how you're making progress against your budget, your timelines. And all of that is then on reporting cards to be shared. We can do this for one project, for two projects, for multiple projects, for your entire pipeline, for the management to see how future revenue, how future profit will be contributing to the company's growth and success. And with that, Axel, I think we really have to be conscious of time. Maybe a quick glance into the architecture.
Yeah, so I don't want to spend too much on it, and I'm not the chief architect anyway, but I think there's a couple of things that are interesting to understand. So the work between OpenAI as our, we call this the operating layer. This is the AI operating system, basically is the Generative Pre-Trained Transformer. This is the GPT, and it uses a large language model that has about 1.7 trillion parameters. The version 2 that when we started with, this was like an enormous 300 million or so. Now we are actually at 1.7 trillion. And there's a little funky symbol on the left-hand side, which is actually showing the neural networks. The 1.7 trillion parameters are basically just parameters how things get connected to each other. And also this works very similar to our brain. And we're learning so much about the brain in AI and vice versa, so that there is a large likelihood that we can generate an AI system in the next couple of years, maybe even early next year, that is very close to our functionality. Now, on top of this is the transformer that takes all the data and does something for it. This was the hard part from the engineering point of view, but the hardest part was to get this to market, because people needed to understand how this works in order to leverage it. The brilliant idea was ChatGPT, and this is on the very left-hand side. This is an application that sits on this massive general pre-trained transformer model. So the application beneath was actually accessible now for the world, and now there's, I believe, 300 million users through ChatGPT, and it showed how it actually can do things. Now, we as a company were a little bit in an advantage because we were very early on with, as I said, with GPT, the model. And so we use that API driving initially sort of a database. And I say sort of because part of that database actually resides in the OpenAI system, where the model that we can also train our own custom model on the far right-hand side. And so there is an overlap. Then we have the prompt framing system, the GPTBlue, which is actually the connector to the outside of the prompt framing system, Journey Manager, KPI framework, Metoa is the guide that guides people through the process. And Metoa uses AI. The model that we're running is using the AI. The prompt framings, I mean, that's a part of the AI output, the Journey Manager, and so on. So everything like that is basically now driven as a neural application gateway, which is on top of it, which does what the application does today. And we're now working on multiple neural application gateways for very specific cases that all go into the custom model and model system that we can train and put the information there. What I want to leave with you is that GPT is an application and BlueCallom is an application, both sitting on an operating system. And that structure, you can imagine now where it probably goes. It probably goes, and this is the commitment actually from OpenAI and from Microsoft, who is the biggest influencer, obviously, in OpenAI, very much like we know from computers where we have an operating system layer, so to speak, and then we have apps on top of it. And the apps make specific things for specific people. Now we're doing innovation, transformation for businesses. This is the specific thing we do. One thing in the transformation is specifically sort of the AI adoption. So that's a process that we specifically design, again, through all this, down to the OpenAI system. And so there will be more applications from our side, but there will be many, many, many companies that build similar applications. We just happen to be the first enterprise native AI system, and it has simply to do with accidental that we worked something out before we even had the AI in the version that we have it today. We were just hoping and believing and trusting it will come. And I have to say, this was a bet that I wasn't always happy with or trustful with, but today I'm absolutely super excited how it panned out. Yeah, that's so much about the architecture from my side. All right, so now to be a little bit promotional, so in order to set it in motion, meaning just get your hands dirty with it, we have this AI Horizon Booster. That's an introductory special, 3 licenses for 6 months that will expire June 30. So if you theoretically decide in the next couple of days or weeks, you have the time between now and January 1 for free, and then the expiration basically starts. We will also give you a 2-day online training. You get a certificate as an AI Horizon Master that will help you also expose yourself a little bit as somebody who is helping others widen the AI horizon. And that's what it all is about. We want to widen your horizon or your team's horizon and then your employees' horizon. There will be weekly individual 1-hour consulting. That's part of the special. I mean, we believe we don't need that down the road because we will have more training and more support programs, but we want to get you going. So we throw everything what we have into this thing. All the resources, you have access to literally everybody. You have access to Christian, you have access to our chief technology officers, our VP engineering, to myself, and so on. When you do this, because this is also a little bit our future. Then additional models will be available. Christian mentioned it already. Business model, basically as a model, sustainability to develop that, digitization, deep tech, and so forth. They will be all at no extra cost on your system. So when you say, well, this worked cool, but somebody says we have to do something on the sustainability side, find solutions for us, whether this is AI or something else, doesn't really matter, part of it. And then, you know, we're building a circle called probably first generation AI users, something like that. And we want to do this with people who start now, because people who start now are typically, we call this early adapters. They're more risk takers than others. They are people who want to be on the very bleeding edge, so to speak, more than everybody else. And that is a typical culture and a behavior of people that is super interesting for us as a company and as partners down the road, because people who are just doing things because they know this will be important for them down the road are these far-looking people, will help us not only in this, but I mean, the next 10 years, I have to say, when I look into this future, it will not stop. I mean, there is no, okay, this is now the horizon. We're just at the beginning. If you think of the computer technology industry or the internet industry, internet started in 1980, let's see, 1991. Internet really publicly available was in 1994, 1995 in Europe. Then the real boom was in 1998. So there are 4 years in between. ChatGPT was launched on November 30th last year. So we all, everybody here is on the very, very, very front of this journey, and we would love to have a group who carry this journey out with us. So we have an early bird package, and we do 20 packages. So and this is basically because the support we are committed to do is the entire company. So we can bet the entire company on like 100 people. And so we have a price ticket so that obviously that doesn't cover our cost, but it's sort of this skin in the game model. And then the official release will be announced probably November 27. We will show what we can do on November 30th in Basel on the Swiss Innovation Forum. But that is sort of a package that we offer, not publicly, only you, and there's probably another webinar, I believe, and then that's it. And if you want to join, I mean, we would love. I mean, just the question we saw indicate amazing minds to do something that is totally out of the ordinary. All right. I don't know. There's another slide.
Just one more.
One word from you. Yeah.
No.
Christian, go ahead.
No. I was going to do the takeaways, so we have a couple minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So just real quick. So okay. yeah. This is okay. I think we're running.
Yeah, one back. Very quick,
okay.
Axel.
Okay. So neural AI technology always is used to generate AI adoption projects. So everything you have in our so-called full product, the whole enchilada is part of that product as well. And actually, the AI Horizon Booster runs on BlueCallom.ai, sort of the master product that does everything. So there's no limitation. There's nothing that you can't do when you try to build up your AI, your internal AI opportunities and so on. It will work. You will probably working on it for about 2 weeks, and we will be hands-on with you. If you have any question anytime, I mean, just give us a call. You will probably have a couple of people even on cell phone. And I don't mind answering a question on a Sunday. I mean, you probably recognize from the energy that this is such an amazing opportunity for, I mean, not just us as a company, it's for you, but I believe this is a shift in our humanity that hasn't been seen so often. I believe the agricultural revolution 8,000 years ago was one. Then 250 years ago, the industrial revolution. And I don't know whether this is now an intellectual revolution or whatever it is, but this is similar to all the other 2 big steps in entire humanity. So super excited.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think this is already one of the key takeaways. You can see then on the next slide. What BlueCallom is really focused on to help you create groundbreaking innovation. Learn to identify the needs and dreams of your target audience, your customers, within a few days. 1. Secondly, really focus to solve complex challenges, and this by being very efficient. Innovation doesn't happen just in your head only. It is something where you collaborate and you address the most pressing problems. It's also something where we want to support and augment your skills and capabilities and discover through neuroideation new patterns and optimized solutions. And when you see how we are working at BlueCallom and how we bring these things together, it's really at the end of the day to have fun and purpose doing your day job, because innovation cannot be something you do on a Friday afternoon on the way home after you have done your day job. No, innovation is at the core of every company, and it's our day job to make that happen. Axel mentioned already there's an opportunity to meet us in Basel. That's seen on the next slide. There will be on the 30th of November a possibility to connect with us. But of course, as we said on the last slide, please, we are here to connect with you. We are here to support you. And we want to maximize the potential and succeed together with you. And with that, Axel, thank you for your insights. It was super exciting. And we are open to some questions as we have 5 minutes left. We managed.
Super. Thank you, Christian. I mean, also from you have probably one of the most profoundest backgrounds in innovation management with 10 years at J&J. So again, it was just amazing. So Tanya, I believe we have a couple of questions, and I don't know, I believe we also have a couple of questions still.
Correct. Let me just go to the chat. Let's answer those questions first, and then we will answer the questions we received before we started this event. So from Paul, he came with a question, and he wants to know. So you go from Microsoft 365 to AI Horizon 365 that adds apps progressively. Is BlueCallom the definition of purpose?
Is BlueCallom the definition of purpose?
Purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I'm not 100% sure how to interpret, and this is one of the reasons why prompt framing is so important, because it doesn't let anything open to interpretation. But I mean, it isn't really doing something new in old mechanisms. I mean, not on our end, but even Microsoft. I mean, I'm not a Microsoftie, I have to admit. On the other side, I worked with Microsoft for the first 10 years of my entrepreneur's life, met Bill Gates and so on when we were both very young and just more or less started our respective companies. But what happens in Microsoft is remarkable, I have to say. And everything what wasn't so remarkable in my mind really is overshadowed to the process that Microsoft is literally inventing itself, and the new CEO is part of that. So I think what they're doing is building the bridge between what they had and augmented with AI, but also the fact that they invested so heavily in OpenAI as an organization and leveraging it even on their platform. So OpenAI basically, I mean, the GPT model from OpenAI is available on Microsoft Azure. Or not using it, but I think that was the most remarkable move and the biggest testimony that the senior level executives completely understand where this world is going. I don't know whether you read the news yesterday. OpenAI is looking for another round of funding at a valuation of $90 billion. That's a valuation for a still startup that is equally unheard of in dimension to the dimension of reducing time. I mean, just out of the ordinary by any means. If they can hold the valuation, I don't know, but I think it almost doesn't matter. So to answer the question, BlueCallom is built on OpenAI, as we said. We have a complete different UI, but it's still a UI that people know how to use in a computer. We use a browser as the front end, and we believe this will change in the next 2 years dramatically. And we're working ourselves on a what is it called, augmented reality model that helps, again, to make it easier and faster. But we shouldn't, and I'm old enough to say that we shouldn't throw out everything, because the history has told us those who did radical changes, I mean, threw out everything and started from scratch, completely different, without even building the bridge to the existing world, didn't really succeed. So we need to consider both. What we did is we actually threw out everything, but then we pulled ourselves back into how do we connect and pick up sort of the market on a point where it's okay. And we realize the way we work and the way we do, we're still on that edge where only a few companies say, wow, this is amazing, this is what we do. Because most of the companies, I mean, literally say, wow, I mean, it's very impressive, but I have no clue whether this will work or not. And therefore I wait until others have been successful, and then we piggyback on them. And that is the strategy. This is as old as humanity. And so I think this answers, I hope, Paul, this answers your question.
Yeah, I would just like to move forward because there are a few more questions we have to answer and the time is clicking. Stefano is asking.
Hey, I'm just answering Stefano. We take that offline. I'm an organic chemist by training, so that's my sweet spot. But we will take a little bit more time.
Okay, great, even better. Let's just move forward. So we received one questions through our registration. First one is prompt framing a product that you may offer separately? I believe Axel can answer this.
Yeah, this is a little bit, as I said, looking into the future, but the clear answer is yes. But it's not available today. That is something that we're building and we're making available, because it will be the result out of what we announced today, that people say, okay, now we want that technology to do our AI implementation, and therefore we're in the process of building it right now as we speak.
Perfect. Second question, I believe this is for Christians, but let's hear it first. Is human intelligence augmentation making us really more intelligent?
I believe it's making me more creative, more efficient. I would not like to judge my intelligence. I think it's something anyhow very hard to measure and define. So, but using the augmentation, I feel that I can deliver more. I'm more creative. I create more value. So in that respect, probably when I look back, then I would say like that was pretty clever, which might be a sign of intelligence, but I wouldn't compare it directly to the word intelligence, but definitely to output.
Yeah,
sorry,
maybe I'm chiming in here real quick. I believe also the word augmentation doesn't mean that, and the word itself doesn't mean that something will be better or different. It's actually augmenting, meaning adding to it. So car doesn't make us run faster, but the car augments our ability to go very, very fast from one point to another that we couldn't do otherwise, and we still can't do today. So human intelligence augmentation doesn't make us more intelligent. So, by the way, it's a good question. But it actually helps us augment our intellectual capabilities with something that we don't have. We will not be able to calculate the difference, the volume of the universe in square or cubic meters or something like that, completely out of our capability. But we have the enormous capability to build a thing that does it for us. And this actually supersedes our incapability, that we're incapable to calculate it. We simply build a tool. And we always build tools. I mean, this is what humans did and made us so extremely powerful that we build something that becomes a tool that it gives us an ability that we even don't have today, but we don't care. We fly and we lift, I mean, tons, not ourselves anymore, never would be, but we have a crane to do that, right?
Perfect. And quickly, one last question. Large-scale innovations sound incredible. Is that something that we can buy, or are those just samples? I believe you can both answer it. I don't know who wants first.
Maybe I'll go first. I mean, it's indeed an example for the capability of our product. Now, we were surprised, I have to say, how deep we can go into virtually anything. And so, a quick example: ESA, the European Space Agency, has a program to put production on the moon. We thought, hey, this is cool. How would we do it? And we actually, within, I think it took us 2 or 3 days, we laid out, and I believe it's on the website, basically a concept how we could do production on the moon in a very efficient way. And we had a conversation with ESA because they were stunned how we do that. How did we come to this idea? And so we explained it to them. And so we're working actually on something which I can't talk about. But so the things that we're building there have either sponsorship or actually somebody who is maybe completely buying it and saying, I want this, I want to do it, I want to, I want the IP, I want to register and want to take it over. And we're more than happy to quote unquote sell it, whatever the terms would be, because these are, as the name says, large scale innovations. These are things that no startup can do. And we are one of them. And somebody with deep pockets, I mean, if somebody has 100 billion on the bank account, they could say, I buy it and I do it myself and hire all the people. But even then, I would say, well, work with a company, because the massive amount that is not only from a money point of view, but also from an intellectual point of view necessary. This is something where we demonstrate that large corporations can do things no startup can do. And that was actually part of the vision, is to solve complexity, problems of any complexity. And our approach for corporations was led by that vision.
Great. Thank you, Axel. I'm so sorry, but we have to finish this. I just want to say,
absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to mention, if our audience have any other questions or wants to share something with us, they're always welcome to send us the messages on via website or via LinkedIn profiles. I believe I claim the BlueCallom team is very open-minded, and we are more than happy to help. Yeah. Also, thank you, Axel. Thank you, Christian. Would you like to add something for the end?
I think just thank you. I mean, really do. 1.5 hours is so long, and we could probably discuss it far more often and far more deeper. But thanks for joining, and would love to, work with one or the other on one of the crazy stuff.
Great. So
nothing to be added. So reach out to us. We're there to help you maximize the potential.
Yeah.
Great.
And thanks to you, Tanya and Christian, for
Let me just apologize for minor issues we had at the beginning. Please don't hold any grudges. I'm still a human. Unfortunately, I don't have AI features yet, but let's see what the future will bring.
We'll get it done.
Yes.
Perfect.